Bismillah Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to ASTC. This is Cambridge IGCSE Mathematics 0580. So today we will be discussing the specimen paper of 2025, paper 2. Now, as you all know that the syllabus has been updated in 2025 and this is a specimen paper. So basically, the one of the major changes that has taken place in the recent syllabus is that paper 2 has now become a non-calculator paper. Okay, previously you had two papers, paper 2 and paper 4, and both of them required calculators. But in this one, from 2025 and onwards, now paper 2 will be conducted without requiring calculator. And also, one of the good news for the upcoming students who will be appearing for the upcoming sessions is that you'll be given a list of formulas. Okay, there are a lot of formulas. Most of them are related to mensuration, but still, these are quite handy. But the main idea is that you should be aware on how to use these formulas. Now the question is that are all the formulas given to you? No, there are still some formulas which you might be required to remember. Okay, and not every formula is given in this formula sheet, but even then you still have like quite a lot of formulas are already here. So it is very important that you understand that you go through this formula sheet. So let's say that if there is a question, okay, about cylinder, so you know where exactly to look for it. So I can see that the curved surface area of cylinder is given by 2 pi rh. Okay. However, the total surface area of the cylinder, you'll have to then add the area of circle and so on. Okay. All right. So let's start with question number one. Work out 0.01 whole square. Okay. Now, there are two ways that you can approach this question. If you want, you can go by the normal route, okay, which is that you just multiply 0.01 times 0.01 and then you'll get the answer. Okay, but this is a bit tedious. Then there's another method where you can write this 0.01 in standard form. Okay, so 0.01 is actually 1 into 10 to the power minus 2. So if I shift the decimal place to the right, so that will be 1 into 10 to the power minus 2. And if you take whole square, so let's say now if I take square both sides, so that would mean square of 1 times the square of 10 to the power minus 2. So that becomes 1 into 10 to the power minus 4. So that is the answer. Okay, that is the second way. There's also a third way. Okay, there's also a third way to do it. What you can do is you can see that this is 0.01. So if I want to write this in fraction, this will be 1 upon 100. Okay, 0.01 is 1 upon 100. So let's just say that how did I get this? 0.01 divided by 1, this is the normal way, right? If I shift the decimal place, if I shift the decimal point two places to the right, I'll have to shift it two places on the right at this denominator as well, right? So that will be 1. So if let's say that I'm shifting it to two decimal places, 1 and 2. Similarly, your decimal place is over here. So now you shift it two places to the right, 1 and 2. So this becomes 1 upon 100. Okay. And now if you want, you can take the square of it. Squaring means multiplying by this. So that will be 1 upon 10,000. Okay, which in turn can be written as 1 into 10 to the power minus 4, or you can write it as 0.0001. Okay, so these are different ways of answering the question. You can also write your answer in standard form, you can also write your answer in this way, and so on. You can even leave your answer in this form as well because they have not specified it, so that is up to you. Okay. All right. Question number two. Write 57.3997 correct to four significant figures. Okay, now there are some students who get confused when it comes to significant figures. They might be comfortable with when you're asked to round to certain decimal places. Now, first of all, starting from the left, count that, okay, which one is the fourth significant figure. So if I start counting from the left, this is 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is the fourth significant figure. You underline the one, which is the fourth significant figure. Then you check the next digit. If the next digit is 5 or greater than 5, then you add 1 onto it. So if I add 1 on 9, it will become 10, right? So I cannot put 10 in place of 9. I cannot put two digits at the same time. So this becomes 0 and 1 will be carried over here. So therefore, this becomes 57.40. Make sure you write 0 as well to show that this is to four significant figures. Number 3, Amy changes 250 euros into dollars. Okay. The exchange rate is that 1 euro is equal to $1.1. Calculate the number of dollars Amy receives. Okay, so we know that 1 euro is equal to $1.10. So how many dollars will be 250 euros? That will be simple ratio method, right? You just cross multiply. So that will be 250 times 1.10. Now, remember, you're not allowed to use calculator. So what we can do is we can multiply, we can shift this decimal point two places to the right. So this becomes 110, and in the denominator you have 100. Now this 0 cancels with this 0 cancels with this 0. So now I'm left with 25 times 11. So 1 times 5 is 5, 1 times 2 is 2. Then this 1 times 5 is 5, 1 times 2 is 2. So I'll be left with $275. Okay, so that will be your answer. Number 4, the diagram shows two triangles ABD and ADC. BDC is a straight line, AB is equal to AC, angle ABD is equal to 61, which is over here, and also the length AB and length AC, they are both equal, and angle ADC equals to 81. Work out the angle DAC. Okay, now, whenever it comes to the angle, the letter which is written at the center, that is what we're talking about. So when it says DAC, you start from D, A, and C. So this is the angle that we are interested to find out. Okay, first of all, because ABC, this is an isosceles triangle as it has two lengths of the same magnitude. So what you can do is, if this angle is 61 degrees, then this angle is also going to be 61 degrees. Okay, because these are of equal lengths, so therefore, since this is the base of the triangle, the angle between the base and this length will be the same as the angle between the base and AC. All right, so now that you have found that this is 61, now you know that angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees. So I can subtract 81 and 61 from 180, so I will be able to find out this angle. Okay, so what I can say is, first of all, I'm going to write that angle ACD or DCA, it's up to you. Angle ACD is equal to 61 degrees since isosceles triangle. And now I can say that 81 plus 61 plus DAC is equal to 180 degrees. Why? Because sum of angles in a triangle is 180 degrees. Now 1 plus 1, that is 2, and 8 plus 6 will be 14. 142 plus DAC is equal to 180. So angle DAC is equal to 180 minus 142. So that will be 10 minus 2, that is 8, and 7 minus 4, that will be 3. So we have 38 degrees. Okay. All right. Question number 5. Convert 0.17 meter square into centimeter square. Okay. First of all, our basic units which are used over here are meter and centimeter. So let me write the conversion factor. 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeter, right? If I square both sides, so that means 1 square meter square equals 100 square centimeter square, right? When I square both sides, everything will be squared. So that tells you that 1 square meter is equal to 10,000 centimeter square. Now, this is the conversion factor that we will use in order to work this out. If 1 square meter or 1 meter squared is equal to 10,000 centimeters squared, how many will be 0.17 meters squared? So now you can directly cross multiply them. So that will be 0.17 into 10,000. All you have to do is just shift the decimal point. So let me write it in this form first. Now, how many places do I have to shift? I have to shift 4 places because I'm multiplying by 10,000. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the decimal point comes over here. So this becomes 1700. All right. Question number 6. The mass of a solid metal cuboid is 4 kg. The volume of the cuboid is 600 cubic centimeter. Calculate the density of the metal, giving your answer in gram per cubic centimeter. Okay, so they have given you the formula for density, which is mass upon volume. Okay, so your mass is given in kilograms, but your answer says that the unit for density should be in gram per cubic centimeter. So let me first write down the formula. Density equals mass divided by volume. So mass is 4 kg, so that means 4 times 1000. Okay, so this will now become grams, and volume is already in cubic centimeters, so we don't have to do anything over here. So this becomes, over here you can cancel the zeros. Two zeros will be cancelled. This 2 will be simplified with, sorry, this 4 will be simplified with this 6. So this becomes 2, this becomes 3. So now you'll be left with 2 times 10, which is 20 upon 3 grams per cubic centimeter. You can leave your answer in this form, or if you want to give a better answer, you can convert this into mixed form, right? So we know that 3 sixes are 18, so that will be 2. So therefore your answer is going to be 6, 2 upon 3 grams per cubic centimeter. All right. Question number 7. Find u minus 2v, where u is this column vector and v is this column vector. Okay, so let me write this down. 3 minus 2 minus 2 times minus 12, 5. So this will be 3 minus 2. First you multiply this scalar value with the column vector. So here you will have minus 2 times minus 12. That will be, or sorry, because I've already written minus over here, I'm just going to multiply the scalar value. So 2 times minus 12, that will be minus 24, and 2 times 5, that will be 10. Okay, now you can subtract. So 3 minus minus 24, that means 3 plus 24. So that is 27, and minus 2 minus 10, that will be minus 12. So that is my answer. Now it says find the magnitude of V. Okay, so magnitude of V will be calculated as so this is your V, right? So that will be minus 12 whole square plus 5 square under root. So this is the formula that if let's say your vector is AB, okay, so the magnitude of your vector is going to be A square plus B square under root. So that's how you find the magnitude of the vector. So let's work this out. 12 minus 12 square will be 144. 5 square will be 25. So when you add them, 4 plus 5 will be 9, 4 plus 2 is 6, so that is 169. Now you see this is something that you should be familiar with. This is a this is a square number, okay? So 169 is the square of 13. So therefore your final answer is going to be 13. Okay? All right. Number 8, the diagram shows a semicircle with diameter 9 centimeters. Calculate the total perimeter of this semicircle. Now we know that we don't usually use diameter in our calculations, we use radius, right? So let me first work out that we know that r is equal to diameter divided by 2, so that will be 9 upon 2, which is equal to 4.5 centimeters. So this is my radius. Now, depending on the question, I can either use the fractional form or I can use the decimal value. That depends on what is the requirement. It says calculate the total perimeter of this semicircle, give your answer in exact form. Okay. Now, perimeter basically means adding 9 centimeter with this arc. Okay. Now, this arc length is basic because this is a semicircle. So, this arc length is going to be half of the circumference. Okay. So, I can say arc length will be half into half into circumference. So that will be half into 2 pi r. So 2 and 2 will cancel out. So you will be left with pi r. Now r is 9 upon 2. So this is your arc length. Okay. Now the total perimeter will be 9 centimeters plus 9 upon 2 pi, or you can say 9 plus 4.5 pi. So that will be your final answer. Now, arc length I've worked out in a different way. If you want, you can also use the general formula that we use, right? So let's say for the arc length, we can also use this method. So let's say the normal. Now, okay, I just recalled something. The formula for arc length and area of sector, that is something which is not given to you in the list of formulas, right? So this is something that you should know. So that is theta upon 360, right? Theta upon 360 multiplied by 2 pi r. Now, because this is a semicircle, we know that the angle at the center is 180 degrees. So I can say that 180 over 360 times 2 pi r. 180 upon 360, that becomes 1 upon 2. So again, you end up with the same formula that I wrote over here, right? So therefore, you'll get the same answer using this method as well. All right, number 9. In a sequence, T1 is 17, T2 is 12, T3 is 7, and T4 is 2. Find T5. Okay, so first of all, we need to see if there is some recognizable pattern or not. So I can see that when I go from 17 to 12, this is a subtraction of 5. Okay, when I go from 12 to 7, this is also a subtraction of 5, and when I go from 7 to 2, that is also a subtraction of 5. So you can see that we have a common difference. So therefore we can conclude that this is arithmetic or linear sequence, right? Now, so we need to find out we need to find out the term number 5. So term number 5 will also follow the same rule. So that will be 2 minus 5, which will be equal to minus 3. So that will be my term 5. Now you need to find Tn. Tn, this is what we call the nth term. Okay. So you need to find out that what is the general formula of the sequence. So what we can do is whenever you have an arithmetic sequence or a linear sequence, then the formula that you use is a plus n minus 1 times d, where a is the first term. So I'm going to write 17 over here plus n minus 1, and d is the common difference. So the common difference was minus 5. So now this is 17 minus 5 times n, that will be minus 5n, minus 5 times minus 1, that will be plus 5. So 17 plus 5, that will be 23 minus 5n. So this is your nth term. Oh, sorry, my bad. This is 22. 17 plus 5 is 22. So this is 22 minus 5n. Question number 10. Work out 2, 2 upon 3 plus 3, 1 upon 2. Give your answer as a mixed number in its simplest form. So first we have to convert this into improper fraction. So 3 times 2 is 6. 6 plus 2 is 8. So 8 upon 3 plus 2 times 3 is 6. 6 plus 1 is 7. So 7 upon 2. Now in order to add them, my denominators should be the same, right? So the LCM of this is going to be 6. So I'm going to multiply this with 3, this with 3, this with 2, and this with 2, so that my denominators can be the same. Now, 8 times 2 is 16, and 3 times 2 is 6, plus 7 times 3 is 21, and 2 times 3 is 6. You can write them in a single fraction. So we have 16 plus 21 upon 6. 6 plus 1, that is 7, and this is 3. So this is your answer in improper fraction, but you need to give your final answer in mixed form. So therefore, now I'm going to divide this. We know that 6 sixes are 36. The remainder will be 1. So therefore, my answer is going to be 6, 1 upon 6. All right. Question number 11. Find the value of 64 to the power 2 upon 3. Okay, now this is one of the questions where students get confused. So look closely on how you can start this question. First of all, we can notice that this is a fractional power. Okay, if I want, I can split this power into two forms, right? I can say that 64 to the power 1 upon 3 multiplied by 2. Okay, now having a power of 1 upon 3 means cube root. And then whatever the answer is going to be, that will be squared because you still have a power of 2. So first I'm going to deal with this part. So anything to the power of 1 upon 3 is a cube root. Anything to the power of 1 upon 2 is a square root, and so on. Okay. Now the cube root of 64 is 4. So that will be 4. And then you take square of this. So 4 square is equal to 16. Now look, you must understand something, that it is a requirement from your syllabus, and you can clearly see this, that you should be able to recognize some of the starting cube numbers, like maybe cube numbers until 5 cubed, which is 125. Okay, so that is something which is required from you. So you should know that, okay, what are the cube numbers, and you should also know some of these square numbers, like perhaps till 15 squared. That should be good enough. Okay, because just in a previous question where we had to find the magnitude of the vector, you saw that we ended up with root 169, and that required something that you have to recall. That is something you cannot work without calculator, because you are not allowed to use calculator, right? So if you don't know that, then how will you work that out? So that is why you should know some of the square numbers, maybe until 15 squared. Okay, and you should know some of the cube numbers, maybe until 5 cubed at least. Okay. And if let's say that you weren't really sure of this, okay, definitely you should recognize that if this requires cube root to be taken, then this is going to be some whole number. So you can use trial and error. So you know that 2 cubed will be equal to 8, 3 cubed is equal to 27, then you will end up with 4 cubed. So 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times 4, you will end up with 64. So that means the answer is going to be 4. So even if you don't recall it, you can actually work this out based on trial and error. All right, question number 12. Work out giving your answer in standard form. 7.1 into 10 to the power minus 15 multiply by 2 multiply by 10 to the power 3. Now you can see that every term is multiplied over here, right? So what we can do is, just like how we collect the like terms, I can write 2 next to 7.1 and I can write the powers of 10 next to each other. 7.1 times 2, that will be 14.2 multiplied by, now 10 to the power minus 15 times 10 to the power 3. You can see that the bases are the same and there's a multiplication sign. So therefore, we are going to add the powers. That will be minus 15 plus 3. 14.2 into 10 to the power minus 12. Now, this is not in standard form. In order for a number to be in standard form, so let's say that this is a, okay? So your standard form is something like this, right? Here a should be greater than or equal to 1 but less than 10. Okay, this is the general criteria of determining whether a number is in standard form or not. So this value should be between this range where it should be greater than or equal to 1 but less than 10. So you can see that this is 14.2, so this is greater than 10. We have to convert this into standard form then. All right, so what we can do is this 14.2, if I shift this to one decimal place on the left, so this becomes 1.42 into 10, because if you expand it again, it becomes 14.2, right? Then you write 10 to the power minus 12, and now you can add these powers. So that will give us 1.42 into 10 to the power 1 minus 12, and therefore your final answer is going to be 1.42 into 10 to the power minus 11. Okay, part B. 5.2 into 10 to the power 7 plus 5.2 into 10 to the power of 6. Now, one of the common mistakes that students do in these type of questions is that they directly add 5.2 and this 5.2. Okay, that is completely incorrect. You cannot add them directly. Okay, so what we have to do is, if you want to add these two values, their powers must be the same. So what I can do is, I can write this as 52 into 10 to the power of 6. If I shift this one decimal place to the right, if I shift this one decimal place to the right, so what's going to happen? Okay, let me break this down further. I can say 52 into 10 to the power minus 1. If you try to multiply this, right, it's going to become 5.2, right? So 5.2 can be written in this form. Now take down 10 to the power of 7. So what happens? This now becomes 52 into 10 to the power of 6. Okay, all right. Let me also write this down as well. Now what you can do is, now you can add them because now the powers are the same. So what we can do is, we can factorize 10 to the power of 6. So we will be left with 52 plus 5.2. That will give us 57.2 into 10 to the power of 6. Again, this is not in standard form. So this part should be written as, if I shift this one decimal place to the left, so this is 5.72 into 10, and then you bring this down, so that will be 10 to the power of 6. Therefore, your final answer is going to be 5.72 into 10 to the power of 7. Okay, now just a small glimpse of why we cannot add values like this. This is a very big number, so let us choose two small numbers. Like for example, we have 2 into 10 to the power of 2 plus 3 into 10 to the power of 1, right? Now, what are these numbers? If I, according to okay, if someone says that no, we should be able to add them directly, okay, so that would become 5, right? But let's say if I expand this number, this becomes 200. If I expand this becomes 30. Now if you add them, that becomes 230. So do you see the difference? This 30, or you can say that this value, okay, is in the tens place, whereas this 2 is in the hundreds place. So you cannot add them directly unless you open up the bracket and then you add them. But obviously, because we have 10 to the power of 7, and in some cases you can have digits which are 10 to the power 15, you're not going to expand the whole thing, right? So that is why you must understand that how you can do these type of calculations even within the standard form notations. Okay, so I hope that this was clear. So our answer is 5.72 into 10 to the power of 7. All right. Question number 13. Find the number of sides of a regular polygon with interior angle 162 degrees. Okay. Now, there are only two formulas that we have studied in relation to polygons, which is the sum of interior angles. Okay. So we know that sum of interior angles is equal to 180 times n minus 2. But the problem is that I don't have the sum of interior angles, do I? Right? I don't have the sum of interior angles. What I do have is uh, is one interior angle. So what you can do is, if let's say, because this is a regular polygon, that means that all of the interior angles will be of the will be the same. So if there are n number of sides, so the sum of interior angles would be 162 multiplied by n. Okay, if one interior angle is equal to 162 degrees, so n interior angles will be equal to 162 times n. So this is one way of starting this question. The second way of starting this question is that one interior angle is going to be the sum of interior angles, which is 180 times n minus 2 divided by the number of sides. Okay, so you have the sum of interior angles and then you divide them by the number of sides, you would be able to get one interior angle. We already know what one interior angle is, that is 162. Now if you multiply this n to the other side, so again you end up with the same equation. So it depends that how your mind is working while you're attempting the question, because look, I know it is very different when you're practicing questions at your home, okay, or in school or anywhere. You're still a bit comfortable, right? But when you're doing these questions under exam pressure, or you're doing these questions under the time limit, then things become a bit different. So that is why it depends on how your mind is approaching the question at that particular instance. So it's okay, you can go with either one of the approaches. All right, so now I'm going to expand the bracket. So that will be 162n equals 180n minus 360. Now you collect the n terms on one side. So this 162, it goes to the right hand side, and this 360 goes to the other side. So we have, let me just write it in this way. 360 equals 180n minus 162n. So this will be 18n equals to 360. Therefore, n is equal to 360 upon 18. Now, we know that a double of 18 is 36, right? So therefore, this is going to be equal to 20. But let's say if you just want to do it the conventional way, you can also do that. If I divide by 2, so this will be 180 and this will be 9. Now you can see that 9 times 20 is equal to 180. So this becomes 20, this becomes 1. All right. So therefore, my answer is going to be 20. So there are 20 sides of this polygon. Okay. Question number 14. The range, mode, median, and mean of 5 positive integers are all equal to 10. Find one possible set of these 5 integers. Okay, so the range, mode, median, and mean of 5 positive integers are all equal to 10. Find one possible set of these 5 integers. Okay, so let's say that if your mode is 10, if mode is 10, so therefore what can we deduce from this? We can say, or we can confirm actually, that there are at least two tens, right? Because the mode is basically a number which is the most repeated value. So the only way in which 10 can be a mode is that if there are at least two tens and then the other numbers are all different. So that is one way of doing it. Okay. Then it also says that the median is 10. The median is the middle number. The median, what is a median? Median is the middle value when all the numbers are arranged in ascending order, right? So you can say that these are 5 digits. Okay, so therefore it means 10 should be here somewhere. When you arrange them in ascending order, 10 should be here somewhere. So that is the one value that we have confirmed. Then through mode, we have also confirmed that there should be at least two tens. Okay, so there should be at least two tens. Okay, so we have also found out another number. Now it says that range is also 10. What is range? Range is the highest value minus the lowest value. Okay. So now this is something that we have to use simultaneous equations over here. So let's say that for this one, we can say that x minus y is equal to 10. So let's call this our equation number one. Okay. Then it says mean of 5 positive integers are all equal. Okay, so again, the mean is also 10. Now the mean will be the sum. So let's say I know that this is going to be my x and this is going to be my y. All right, let's just say that because we are missing a third value, and we can try one thing, that if let's say this is also 10, if I also assume that this is 10 as well, am I going to get whole number values of x and y? Because look, it says that find one possible set of 5 integers. That means there could be multiple answers to this question. Okay, so let's say that if I keep three values as 10, will I get two values of x and y, both of which are integers? If I do, then that means this is a correct possibility. This is a correct assumption. Okay, so let's try this. If I want to find the mean, so that will be x plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus y. Okay, and by the way, this should be the other way around because I'm doing x minus y, right? So x should be here, y should be here. All right, this divided by 5 is equal to 10 because the mean is 10. All right, multiply 5 to the other side. So that will be x plus y plus 10 plus 10 plus 10, that is 30. 5 goes to the other side, so this becomes 50. So therefore we have x plus y equals to 30 goes to the other side, so 50 minus 30, that is 20. That is my equation number 2. So I have two equations. Okay, if I add 1 and 2, so what's going to happen? Let me write this down. I have x minus y equals to 10, and I have x plus y equals to 20. So y and y, this will cancel. X plus x, that will be 2x, and 10 plus 20, that will be 30. So x is equal to 30 upon 2, which is equal to 15. So that's a good news, right? I've found out a positive integer. So I can say that x is 15. Now, for y, we know that x minus y is equal to 10. So that means 15 minus y is equal to 10. Y goes to the other side, 10 comes to this side. So y is equal to 15 minus 10, which is equal to 5. So therefore, one of these sets of positive integers that will give us all of these range, mode, median, and mean as 10 is 5, 10, 10, 10, 15. So this is one possible set of values. So I want you to pause this video, go through this solution, okay, and also try this by yourself, because look, this is not a guessing game, right? You need to understand that, okay, how you were able to deduce each of the aspects of this question. That is what's most important over here. It requires your analytical skills, that okay, how you can deduce, or what conclusions can you draw from the given information. Okay, question number 15. Describe fully the single transformation that maps triangle T onto triangle A. That maps T onto A. So T is the original and A is the image. Okay. Now look, this is a 3 mark question, right? If you have seen my previous video on transformation, I mentioned something in great detail. So I'll just quickly uh, mention it one more time. If you have a 3 mark question for description, okay, that means the question is either about rotation or enlargement, because when you're describing rotation and enlargement, that is where you have to give three pieces of information. Okay, for rotation you have to mention that this is rotation, that's 1 mark. Second is the direction of rotation, so that could be 90-degree clockwise, 90-degree anti-clockwise, or 180 degrees. Okay, when you write 180 degrees, it doesn't matter whether you go anti-clockwise or clockwise, because you end up at the same point, right? Okay, and the third point will be center of rotation. So that is why you have that question for 3 marks. When it comes to enlargement, you have to mention the name enlargement, then you have to mention the scale factor by which the object has been enlarged, and the third will be center of enlargement. All right. The other two transformations are reflection and translation. Each of these two are of worth of 2 marks. Okay, because for reflection you have to give only two information. Number one is its name, that this is reflection. Number two is the line of reflection, or what we call the mirror line, the equation in which or the line in which the object has been reflected. Okay, then translation, you have to mention the name, and then you have to mention that, okay, what is the column vector, or by like how many units to the x and how many units in the y direction do you have to move your object to achieve the given position of the object, the position of the image. Okay, so there are two things, translation and the column vector. So you see, that is just a breakdown of how you can, just by looking at the number of marks, you can already narrow this down to rotation or enlargement. Since we can see clearly that the object, because in enlargement the position of the object, or the orientation, sorry, the orientation of the object does not change unless it is a negative scale factor. Only in that case the orientation can change. But over here you can see that the size of the image is exactly the same, because we have 3 units over here and we have 3 units over here. We have 1 unit over here and we have 1 unit over here. So that means that this is rotation. Okay, Now, this is my object. How can you achieve? So let's say that if I look over here, this point has now become this point. This point was actually this one, right? So this point became this point. Let me just mark them with a different color. This was your point on the object. So this is the corresponding point on the image. And this point corresponds to this point. Okay. Each one of them, you can see that they have been rotated by 90 degrees. Okay. So you can imagine that your object has rotated 90 degrees, and that's how you have got this position, this shape. So that will be 90 degrees clockwise. So these two things are not very difficult to obtain. What's more challenging is how to get the center of rotation. Center of rotation is, and that is something that you need to you need to work it out. Um, you can use different methods to do that. So let me just take a screenshot. All right. Now, one of the most easiest ways that you can do this is by using a tracing paper. Okay. Now, I can't really digitally show you on how you can exactly do that, but I can guide you on how you can do it. So let's say that this is your tracing paper. Okay. You put a tracing paper on top of this grid. Okay. Let me just enlarge it a little bit. Okay. Now, on top of this tracing paper, trace the object. Okay. Trace the object onto the tracing paper. Now, what you can do is put your pencil or your pen, okay, at any specific point. So let's say that I'm going to put this over here. Okay, this is where I've put my pencil, okay, and hold it in this position. Now what you do is rotate your tracing paper 90 degrees clockwise. Okay, what's gonna happen? If this object, okay, the purple one, if this object maps onto the position of A, that means that this was the correct coordinate of center of rotation, because your center of rotation is actually the pivot. It is the point where you are, where that is the fixed point around which you're rotating your object. Okay, so if this one doesn't work out, so what you can do is try different positions. Okay, now, clearly, if you're going to rotate, let's say if you choose the origin, okay, your rotation, your object might end up somewhere below the x-axis. So definitely you're way off from this point, right? So therefore, it means it has to be somewhere over here. So this is something which is based on trial and error, but you will be able to figure out by just 3 to 4 rotations. So now finally, if you try a couple of points and then you try this coordinate 4 3, okay, now at this point, because I've already used tracing paper, okay, and I know that that this is where it is going to end up in this point. So I've told you the method on how you can use the tracing paper to find out. Now put your pencil over here and now rotate your tracing paper 90 degrees clockwise. So now you can see that this object will map exactly onto the position of A. So therefore, my center of rotation is going to be 4 3. All right. Now that is one way of doing it. Okay, which is the easiest one in my opinion. There is another way that you can try this. Okay, so let me get rid of the tracing paper. Okay, what you can do here is, first of all, you can draw a line through corresponding points. Okay, so I drew a line that connects these corresponding points. Now what I have to do is draw perpendicular bisector of this line. So you can put your compass over here, okay, and um, you can make an arc somewhere over here and somewhere up around here. Then put your compass at this point, and you can make an arc over here, and you'll make an arc over here. Wherever these 2 points will intersect, okay. So let me just slightly position it. So let's say this should be around somewhere over here, maybe. Okay. Now connect these 2 points. So it should be, because I already know that this is going to be 4 3, right? So I'm going to rearrange it in that way. But your arcs are going to somewhere line up around here. Okay, so this is how it should look like, something like this. Okay, that's the first set of value. So this is sorry, that is the first set of construction that you have to do. The second one is that you take another point. So let's say I took this one, right, blue point. I can also take green points now. Draw a line through these points. Now again do the same thing. Draw perpendicular bisector of this line. So again it should be around somewhere here, maybe. Let's say that the perpendicular bisector of this should be around maybe here. Okay, so let's say that you put your compass over here, and this is the first arc, and this is the second arc over here. Then you put your compass at this point, okay, making sure that you don't change you don't change that how the distance between the 2 points, right? That will be your second arc, and there will be a second arc over here. Now join them. So this should be now what's actually going to happen is that your perpendicular bisectors that you drew will intersect at a particular point. Okay, let me first just realign them, something like this. So you can see that this is the point where they are going to intersect. Wherever these two perpendicular bisectors intersect, that is your center of rotation. Okay, so that was the method. That's the second method. You can also use this method, but then obviously you can now decide for yourself that which method is easier to do. All right, that was the end of question number 15, I guess. Yes, let's move to question number 16 now. A student measures the height h centimeter of each of 400 plants. The cumulative frequency diagram shows the results. Okay, let me just ensure the recording is still on. All right. The cumulative frequency diagram shows the results. So we have 400 plants. Use the diagram to find an estimate for the median. Okay. Now, in order to find median from cumulative frequency diagram, first we need to find the position of median. Okay. That okay, the median occurs at which value. So for that purpose, the formula that we use is n upon 2, right? So n is 400 divided by 2, that will be 200. So the median will occur at 200th position. Now 200th position means this value over here. So now I'm going to check where does this lie in terms of what is the value of h at this point. So you can see that the value of h is going to be 30. So therefore, the median will be 30 centimeters. Median can be represented by Q2. So that will be 30 centimeters. Okay. The next one is the interquartile range. Interquartile range is the difference between the upper quartile minus the lower quartile. So upper quartile is represented by Q3 and lower quartile is represented by Q1. Even if you're not familiar with this notation, there's no problem. It's not that you are definitely required to use this notation. Okay, you can also write upper quartile minus lower quartile. That's also perfectly fine. Okay, now first we need to find out the position of Q3. So that will be 3 upon 4 times n. So that is going to be 3 over 4 multiplied by 400. So now 4 and 400, that will cancel to give us 100. 3 times 100 will be 300. So 300th position. Okay, let me also work out the position of lower quartile. The lower quartile will be 1/4 of n. So that will be 1 upon 4 times 400. So you simplify this, that becomes 100th position. All right, now let's work this out. Okay, now I need to see that what is the scale on this axis, right? So let's see. From 0 to 40, 0 to 40, there are 5 boxes. Okay, so we know that 5 boxes represent 40 units. So how much is one small box representing? So that will be x. So now you cross multiply them. So that will be 5x is equal to 40. X is equal to 40 upon 5, which is 8 units. So now I know that once each one of the small boxes, they represent 8 units. Okay. So I need to find out 300, right? So after 280, you add 8 into it. So this is 288. Then you have 296 and then you have 304. So 296 and 304. So 300 should be exactly halfway between these two boxes. Okay. So let me just draw a line, keeping in mind that this is halfway. Okay. So this is where it connects over here. Now you draw a straight line all the way down. Again, this one is going to be between two values over here. Now for this small box, we can see that this one is easier to deduce. So you can see that 30, 32, 34, 36, 38. So between 36 and 38, therefore this will be 37. Okay, so UQ or Q3, that is 37. Okay, all right, so let's work out for the lower quartile. That will be 100th position. So after 80 we have 88, 96, 104. So between 96 and 104, that is 100 over here. Again, this is between two values, so you have to be careful when you're reading the values of the graph. So we have 10, this is 12, 14, 16, and then again it is between 16 and 18, so that will be 17. So therefore, the interquartile range is going to be 37 minus 17, which is equal to 20 centimeters. Okay. All right. So let's move to the next part, the 80th percentile. Now the 80th percentile will be given as 80 upon 100 because 80% is 80 upon 100 times n. So this will be 80 over 100 times 400. So both the zeros cancel out. 4 times 80 will be 320th position. So therefore, let me use a different color for this. So 320th position. All right, so this is the exact value, so we can directly join it. Now again, this is not this is again at the middle of two values, at the center of two values. So this will be somewhere around here. So that is 38 and 40. So this should be 39. Okay. All right. Now it says find the number of plants with a height greater than 60 centimeters. Okay, so we need to find the number of plants. So that means that should be the value from the cumulative frequency. The height should be greater than 60. Okay, so greater than 60, this is your 60 centimeter. So that means you should find out that, okay, how many do we have over here? So that should be 400 minus the value at 60. Okay. All right. So the value at 60 is going to be this value. So let me connect the points. Should be around here. So this is 360 and the next one is 368 because remember each one of the each small box is 8 units on y-axis. So this should be 364 then. Okay, so this should be 364. So that will be 400 minus 364. Okay, so this should be, this is 10, then this is 10, but then this becomes 9, this becomes 10. So 10 minus 4, that is 6, 9 minus 6, that is 3, and then 10 minus 3, sorry, this is not 10, this is 3. Yeah, so that should be 36. Okay, so 36 centimeter, sorry, not centimeters, because we are now finding the number of plants, right? So that should be 36. Okay, the next part is the heights are also shown in the frequency table. Okay, so we have height and they've been given in this class intervals. Then we have frequencies. Complete the histogram to show this information. Okay, the first bar has already been drawn for you. Okay, now when it comes to histograms, okay, we need to find a third variable as well, which is the frequency density. Okay, the formula for frequency density is frequency over class width. Okay, so if let's say that you're confused in this formula, because sometimes the students they just put this upside down, they write class width divided by frequency. So remember, in the word frequency density, frequency comes first. So in the formula also frequency comes first. Okay, just remember that and you'll be done with it. Now the frequency is 120 divided by class width is 20, right? 20 minus 0. So that will be 20. So therefore this becomes 6. And you can also see the frequency density is 6 between 0 to 20. So you can also verify that yes, you're going in the correct direction. Now we need to find for the other three bars. So this should be 80 divided by 30 minus 20, which is 10. So that should be 8. Then we have 124 divided by 40 minus 30, that is 10. So that should be 12.4. 76 upon 80 minus 40, that is 40. So 76 over 40. Okay. So let's divide them by, let me see. So 4 ones are 4 and that is 36. All right. So 4 nines are 36. So we can directly divide by 4. So this becomes 10 and this becomes 19. So now 19 upon 10, that is 1.9. Okay. So now these are the frequency density values. So the first one is already done. So we're going to start from here. That is 8 frequency density and your class interval is 20 to 30. So 20 to 30, that should be 8, right? So this is 8. Okay, obviously you're supposed to use a ruler over here. I don't have that facility right now, so I'm just gonna draw freehand drawing. So there will be the next one will be 124, sorry, 12.4 and 30 to 40. So 30 to 40, and then you have 12.4. So let's see, this is 12. Now again, I need to check that what is the interval. So 0 to 2, you can say that 5 boxes, they represent 2 units. So one box will be x. 5x is equal to 2. So x is equal to 2 upon 5, which is 0.4. So therefore, each one of these boxes are 0.4. So let's say this is 12. So 12.4 is going to be this one. So this will be 12.4, and we have to draw until 40. Okay. The next one is 40 to 80, and that will be 1.9. So this is 0, 0.4, 0.8, 1.2, 1.6, and then you have 2. So it should be below 2. Okay, make sure that it does not touch the line of 2, because 1.9 is very close to 2 but not 2. So make sure that you do not touch the line that represents 2, and that's it. So that is your uh, a rough diagram of histogram. Okay. All right. Question number 17. The diagram shows a cyclic quadrilateral ABCD. BD and AC intersect at X. Okay, because the question is about a cyclic quadrilateral, immediately one of the properties of cyclic quadrilateral should pop up in your mind, which is that the opposite angles are supplementary. So what do we mean by that? The opposite angles add up to 180 degrees. So this angle and this angle will add up to give you 180, and this angle will add up to give you 180. So you have already been given this angle, which is 74. So you can find out that what this entire angle will be. But we'll just stick to the question for now. Let's go in sequence. But just keep this in mind. Okay. Now it says BD and AC intersect at X. Okay. Angle BAD is 74. All right. And angle BCA is 34. Okay. Find the angle BDA. All right. BDA. So this is the angle that we are required to find. So you can see that if I start from A and B, if I start from points A and B, together they meet at point C and they make an angle 34 over here. So you can see that this point, if I draw a line from A, a line from B, right? So both of these lines, they meet at point C. There, the angle that they make is 34. Therefore, if there's another line that goes from B and there's another line that goes from A, and together they meet at another point on the circumference, that should also be 34. Okay, this property is what we call that angles in the same segment are equal. So therefore, this is 34 degrees. So we say, although they're not asking you to give the reasons, the geometrical reasons, but it is still a good practice if you know them, that okay, how you have been able to work this out. Angles in the same segment are equal. Okay. Also, another important thing is that whatever angles you are finding throughout these calculations, throughout these questions, mark them on the diagram so that now you know that okay, which angles are known. All right, because sometimes in the subsequent parts you are required to use the information from the previous parts. Okay. Then the next one is angle BCD. Okay, BCD. So now you're required to find this angle. the entire angle, right? So now you can finally use that property that the opposite angles in a cyclic quadrilateral are supplementary. So we can say that 180 degrees minus 74, yes, what's that is 74. So that would be 108 degrees. You add 80, sorry, 106 degrees. Okay, that will be 106 degrees. And the property that we have used is that the angles in a cyclic quadrilateral, the opposite angles in a cyclic quadrilateral are supplementary. That means they add up to give you 180 degrees. All right, angle ABD. So let me also write this down that this entire angle is 106 degrees, but if I only want to write this partial angle, so 106 minus 34, so 6 minus 4 is 2, this becomes 10, so that is 72. So this one is 72 degrees. Okay, now we need to find angle ABD. Okay, ABD, so this angle. Now we can see that this is a triangle, so all we have to do is, we know that the sum of angles in a triangle equals 180 degrees. So we can say 180 minus 74 minus 34. Okay, so that will be 180 minus 4 plus 4, that is 8, and so this is 108. 180 minus 108, so that should be 72 degrees. All right. Part B. In the diagram, triangle ADX is similar to triangle BCX. Okay, where is ADX? ADX is similar to BCX. Okay, BC is equal to 4.5, AD is 9, and CX is 3.3. Work out XD. Okay, now look, when you have these questions, it's a good practice to draw this in the same orientation, to draw both of these triangles in the same orientation. Right now you can see that they're in a different orientations. So what do I mean by that? Let me draw ADX. So ADX is something like this. This is not 90 degrees. Okay, I've just drawn a rough sketch. So this is A, this is D, and this is X. Okay, this angle is 34, and that's it. That's all what we know. Now CXB or BXC, what is it? What does it say? It says BCX, right? So BCX is this triangle. Now I'm going to draw this triangle, but it has to be in the same orientation as this triangle. So this should be something similar to this. But now I have to label this as well, right? So I know that this point is going to be equal to, this is also X, because they are the common points, so they are the same. Now I'm not sure that which one should be B and which one should be C. How I'm going to make that sure is, I know that this angle is 34, so this angle should also be 34, right? Because they're in the same orientation. So if this angle is 34, this is also 34. If this angle is something, this is also the same angle, and so on. So which one has 34 degree? You can see the angle at C. So this will be C and this will be B. Now that you have drawn this triangle, now it is very easy, because all you have to do is, now just you can label the dimensions. So BC is 4.5, this is 4.5, and AD is 9. AD, which is the corresponding length to this, that is 9. CX is 3.3, and guess what? Now they're asking you to find XD, which is this one. So they are the corresponding points. Now you can easily apply the concept of ratios in similar triangles. So because we need to find XD, I'm going to write XD at the top, and at the bottom I'm going to write its corresponding length. So XD is equal, sorry, XD divided by 3.3, is equal to, now you can pick the second pair of corresponding sides, because the value at denominator is taken from the first triangle. Therefore, sorry, the value at the numerator has been taken from the first triangle. The same should happen over here as well. Over here there should be 9, okay, upon 4.5. So therefore xd is equal to, so 9 upon 4.5, that would be 2, because 4.5 is half of 9. So this is 2 multiplied by 3.3. So that gives you 6.6 centimeters. That is one way of doing it. Another way in which you can write this down is, I'm going to write xt, and then at the bottom I'm going to write that another value of the same triangle, which is 9. So I can also write xd upon 9. So in the first in the first fraction, you can write the values from the same triangle. In the second one, what is the corresponding length of xd? That is 3.3, and then another value of the triangle which is corresponding to 9 is 4.5. So you would still end up with the same answer, 3.3 over 4.5 multiplied by 9. So when you work this out, you would still get the same answer. So whatever method you use, they'll give you the same answer, but be consistent in what values you use. Okay, let me just take a break for a few minutes. All right, so let's continue. Question number 18 is, find f of minus 3. Okay, now you have been given f of x equals to 3 minus 2x. So if f of x is 3 minus 2x, instead of x, you just plug in the value minus 3. Okay, so that will be 3 minus 2 times minus 3. So that will be 3 minus 2 times minus 3 will be plus 6. So 3 plus 6 equals to 9. The next one is, find g of f of minus 3. Now we already found out what is f of minus 3, which was 9. So now you need to plug in the value of 9 into the function g. Okay, so g of f of minus 3 equals to 2 times 9 plus 3. That will be 18 plus 3 equals to 21. Okay, find f inverse of x. Okay, now the question that's given to us is f of x equals 3 minus 2x. Let me write this in form y equals 3 minus 2x. Now what we're going to do is, we're going to swap x and y. So x is equal to 3 minus 2y. Now what you're going to do is make y the subject of the formula. So this minus 2y goes to that side and x comes to this side. So we have 2y equals 3 minus x. Divide both sides by 2. Y equals to 3 minus x upon 2. Now this y is actually f inverse of x. Okay. So therefore your answer is going to be 3 minus x upon 2. Now it says that find x when g of x equals to 7. Now g of x means that you are replacing x with this whole function itself. Okay, so you're putting the function gx into the function gx. So that would mean, first of all, let me write this down. G of x is 2x plus 3, right? Yes. So g of x will be 2 times. Now instead of x, you're going to write the whole thing 2x plus 3. Then you're going to continue plus 3. Now simplify this. This is equal to 7. So we have 2 times 2x, which is 4x. 2 times 3 is 6 plus 3. So 7 equals 4x plus 9. 9 comes to this side. So you have 7 minus 9 equals 4x, minus 2 equals 4x. Therefore, x is equal to minus 2 upon 4. You simplify them, this becomes minus 1 upon 2. Now it says find x when h inverse of x is equal to 5. Okay, first of all, what is h of x? 2 to the power of x. Okay, so this says that h inverse of x. Okay, so if you need to find inverse, first what you do is write y equals 2 to the power of x. Again, swap x and y. So this becomes x and this becomes y. Now we cannot rearrange this into to make y the subject of the formula. Okay, why we can't do that? Because that requires logarithms and that is not part of your syllabus yet. Okay, so that's why what we can do is we have to just use some logical steps over here. Look, what we did over here when I was trying to work out the inverse, this y became f inverse of x. So after rearranging them, this y should become h inverse of x, right? Now this h inverse of x has a value of 5. So you can just substitute that value over here. So x is equal to 2 to the power of 5, which will be equal to 32. Okay, so that's how you get the answer. Okay, question number 19. Simplify root 32 plus root 98. So root 32 is, okay, now because now this is a question which is related to surds, right? Now you need to simplify this. So what you can do is try to find, okay, let me write this down, factors of 32. Now when I write the factors of 32, your objective is to find out the highest possible square number. Okay, highest possible square number which is a factor of 32. So in short, you need to find a square factor. So let's see, 1 times 32, then we have 2 times 16. So now you can see that these are the top values, right? So you have 16. Greater than 16, the only value you have is 32, and 32 is not a square number. So therefore, we can choose this pair. So I can write this as root 16 times root 2. Okay, first of all, we can write this like this, 16 times 2 under root, and then you can separate them in this form. Okay, now what about 98? Factors of 98 are 1 multiplied by 98, 2 multiplied by, okay, let me quickly work that out. So 2 fours are 8, you have 1 and 18. So 2 nines are 18, right? 2 times 49. You know that 49 is also a square number, so we can choose this pair. So this becomes root of 49 multiplied by 2. So this becomes root 49 times root 2. And now you can simplify. Root of 16 is 4. So this is 4 root 2. And root of 49 is 7. So this is 7 root 2. Because the roots are the same, you can now directly add them. 4 root 2 plus 7 root 2. So this is just like adding 4x plus 7x, right? Just like how you add these two, you can add these two as well. So this becomes 11 root 2. Okay, so this is your final answer. Then it says in part B, rationalize the denominator. Rationalize the denominator basically means get rid of square root in the denominator. Okay, that's like just a slang way of saying it. Okay, you need to get rid of the square root. So how do we do that? Because I need to get rid of the square root, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to write square root minus 1. Okay, you multiply this with minus 1, and at the same time the numerator should also be multiplied with this. Okay, now simplify this. So this becomes root 2 minus 1 divided by root 2 times root 2 becomes 2. Root 2 times minus 1 becomes minus root 2, and 1 multiplied by root 2 becomes plus root 2. 1 multiplied by minus 1 becomes minus 1. So these two will cancel out. You have minus root 2 plus root 2, so they become 0, and 2 minus 1 becomes 1. So therefore, your final answer is going to be root 2 minus 1. Make sure that there is a gap between your square root and the minus sign. So it does not look like, it should not look like that minus 1 is written underneath the square, because sometimes students they just write casually like this, and things like that they go bad. Okay, so make sure that this is written very clearly. You don't want to lose marks unnecessarily, right? Okay, question number 20. Y is directly proportional, sorry, y is inversely proportional to square root of x. When y equals to 8, x equals to 4, find y when x equals to 49. Okay, first of all, we can write this as equation y equals k upon root x. Then we know that when y equals to 8, x equals to 4. Using this condition, we can find the value of k. So y is 8 upon, sorry, k upon root 4. So this is 8 equals k upon 2. 2 goes to the other side. So k is equal to 8 times 2, which is equal to 16. Okay. Now, so we know that y is equal to 16 upon root x. Now it says find y when x is equal to 49. So at x equals to 49, y equals 16 upon root 49, which is 16 upon 7. Okay, so that's my answer. If you want, you can also write this in mixed form. In that case, this would be 7 times 2 is 14. So 16 minus 14 is 2. So your answer would be 2, 2 upon 7. But it's not really required because they did not ask you in to give your answers mixed form. So you can also leave your answer in fraction. Question 21. In this question, all measurements are in centimeters. The height of the triangle is h and the height of the rectangle is h plus 2. Okay. The length of the base of the triangle is x and the length of the rectangle is x plus 2. Okay, so we can see that length is x and the length of rectangle is x plus 1. Height is h over here and the height is h plus 2 over here. The area of triangle is 11 centimeters square and the area of rectangle is 39 centimeters squared. Write down an expression in terms of x for the height of the rectangle. Okay, so what we know about the rectangle is that the area is 39. So area of rectangle is equal to length times height. Okay, so this will be 39 equals length is x plus 1 and height is h plus 2. So we just need to make h plus 2 the subject because the height of the rectangle is h plus 2, right? So therefore h plus 2 is equal to 39 upon x plus 1. That's it. Okay, h is not the height of rectangle. H plus 2 is the height of rectangle. So therefore h plus 2 should be made the subject of the formula. Okay, then it says show that 2x squared minus 15x plus 22 equals to 0. Okay. Now they haven't given you some more context on how you can actually achieve this, but they have given you the area of triangle. Okay. And you have been given something, you've been given the dimensions in terms of x and h as well. So let's see. We'll see where we'll end up with it. If I do the same thing, just like how I got an expression for the from the area of rectangle, let's try the same thing about area of triangle. Area of triangle is equal to half into base into height. So area of triangle is 11 equals half into the base is x and the height is h. So if I make h the subject, so 2 goes to the other side, 11 times 2, and x goes in the denominator. So therefore, h is equal to 22 upon x. Okay. Now, here we have made h the subject, and if you look closely, this equation that we have to show is all in terms of x. So the expression that we just found out over here, we found out that h plus 2 is equal to 39 over x plus 1. So instead of h, I can write down 22 upon x. So I can say 22 upon x plus 2 equals to 39 upon x plus 1. That's how you get an equation all in terms of x. Now it's all algebraic manipulation. Okay, you have to just rearrange and simplify, and then you will end up with this equation. Okay. So let's see. First of all, let's multiply everything by x. Okay, multiply by x both sides. So when you multiply by x to this particular fraction, the x gets cancelled. So you'll have 22. Let me write this down. Multiply by x both sides. So here you have 22 over x plus, let me just write the whole thing. So I'm multiplying everything by x. Okay, now when this x multiplies by 22 upon x, you'll be left with 22. This x multiplied by 2, so you get 2x. This x multiplies by 39, so you get 39x divided by x plus 1. The next step is going to be multiplying everything by x plus 1. Multiply by, just a minute. Okay, multiply by x plus 1 both sides. Now, so 22 plus 2x will be multiplied by x plus 1, and 39x times x plus 1. So this x plus 1 will get cancelled, right? So you'll just be left with 39x. Now 22 times x is 22x. 22 times 1 is 22. 2x times x is 2x squared. 2x times 1 is 2x. And this 39x can be taken on the left hand side. So we can write this as 13 minus 39x equals to 0. Now simplify. You have 2x squared. First you write down the term with the highest power. Then you have 22x plus 2x minus 39x. Okay, 22x plus 2x, that is 24x. Okay, you have 24x minus 39x, and then over here you have plus 22 equals to 0. So 39 minus 24, 9 minus 4 is 5, and then you have 15, but there's a negative sign with minus 39. So therefore this becomes 2x squared minus 15x plus 22 equals to 0, and that's your equation which is given in the question. Okay. By factorizing and solving 2x squared minus 15x plus 22 equals to 0, find the two possible heights of the triangle. Okay, so first we need to factorize this. So first of all, we need to see what is our product. Our product is 2 multiplied by 22, which is 44, and our sum is minus 15. So I need to find two factors of 44 such that their sum should be minus 15. So let's see. Factors of 44. So 1 times 44, 2 times 22. Okay. 44 does not occur in 3 stable, it is in 4 stable. 4 multiplied by 11. So if you look over here, if I use minus 4 and minus 11, so when you add them, you'll get minus 15. When you multiply them, you get positive 44. So therefore, 2x squared minus 4x minus 11x plus 22 equals to 0. 2x will be factorized. You will be left with x minus 2. Here minus 11 will be factorized. You will be left with x minus 2 again. Then x minus 2 will be factorized. You will be left with 2x minus 11 equals to 0. So x minus 2 is equal to 0, or 2x minus 11 is equal to 0. So here x is equal to 2, and here 2x equals to 11. So x is equal to 11 upon 2. Okay, which is 5.5. Okay, now this is the value of x, but they are asking us to find the value of h. So what was the relationship between x and h? We found an equation over here, right? So h is equal to 22 upon x. So I would rather use fraction value instead of the decimal one. So we know that h is equal to 22 over x. Therefore, h is equal to 22 upon 2 in this case. So this becomes 11 centimeters. And in this case, h is equal to 22 divided by 11 upon 2. So here we can say 22 divided by 11 upon 2. If I take the reciprocal, so this is 22 multiplied by 2 upon 11. This 11 and this 22, they get cancelled off. 2 times 2 is equal to 4. So therefore, the value of h can be 11 or it can be 4. Got it? All right. Question number 22. Find the exact value of x. Okay. So you've been given a right angled triangle. You have an angle. So this is your adjacent. This is your opposite. And this is your hypotenuse. Okay. You have been given adjacent and you have been given hypotenuse in terms of x. So that means that this is cos theta. The question is about cosine. So we know that cos theta is equal to adjacent upon hypotenuse. So in this case, this would be cos 30 is equal to adjacent is 8 and hypotenuse is x. Now you need to find the exact value of what x is. Now, before that, you need to find out what is cos 30. Now, this is something that you have to recall. Okay, the exact trig ratios are something that you're supposed to recall, and this is something which is the new part, the new addition in your syllabus. Okay, so you should be able to know that you should be able to know what are the cos, sine, and tan of values such as 0, 30, 45, 60, and 90. Okay, so this is something that you have to memorize. So cos 30 will be root 3 upon 2 equals to 8 upon x. Okay. Now, what we can also do is, okay, I'll quickly explain one shortcut that you can memorize. Okay, that is called the hand rule. You can also look up on YouTube. You can find different videos, okay, on how to memorize this. So basically, the concept goes something like this: that okay, this is, let's say this is a hand over here. Okay, don't judge my drawing. I'm just going to teach you a concept, right? Okay, so here, each one of these fingers, this is your thumb, and that's your little finger. So this one is 0, this is 30, 45, 60, and 90. Okay, now the formula that you can use to the general formula that you can use for cos will be cos theta is equal to square root of the fingers above theta, whatever your chosen angle is, divided by 2. So for example, because our question is about 30, right? So 30, so this is the one that I've picked. Okay, now how many fingers can you see above 30? So that will be 3 fingers, right? So therefore cos 30 is equal to root 3 upon 2. You can pause the video and you can try all of these different combinations. So for example, let's say that cos 60. Now cos 60, you have only one finger above 60. So that should be root 1 upon 2. Root of 1 is just 1. So therefore cos 60 will be 1 upon 2, and so on. Okay. If you want to if you want to use the same rule, you can use for sine theta as well. But sine theta is the fingers below the chosen angle divided by 2. So let's say if I say uh, sine 30, now below 30 there is only one finger, so therefore that should be root of 1 upon 2. So therefore sine 30 is 1 upon 2. Got it? Now how can you find out for tan theta? For tan theta, this will be fingers below, root of fingers below divided by root of fingers above. So this is something that I've found to be very useful, okay, for very easy to remember, and something that you can, because all you have to remember is this general form, right? So you don't have to individually draw up the whole table and then memorize all of the values, because in that case you are still able to forget the exact values, right? But you can use this rule even during the examination. There's no problem. You don't have to draw the hand. Just look at your own hand and imagine that, okay, you know that each one of these fingers, they represent a certain angle. So this is what you can use to effectively remember these exact trig ratios. Okay. All right. So let's come back to this question. So root 3 upon 2 equals 8 upon x. Now you cross multiply them. So we have x root 3 equals 2 times 8, which will be 16. So now I can divide both sides. So this becomes 16 upon root 3. Okay. Now, if you want, you can leave your answer in this form, and or if you want, you can also rationalize it. Okay, rationalizing will mean multiplying this by root 3 upon root 3. So this becomes 16 root 3, and root 3 times root 3 becomes just 3. So therefore your answer will be 16 upon root 3, or 16 root 3 upon 3. Question number 23. Write as a single fraction in its simplest form: 3 upon x minus 4 minus 4 upon x plus 3. So first of all, I'm going to multiply them. So this will be multiplied by x plus 3. The second fraction will be multiplied by x minus 4, both top and below. Now, when it comes to denominator, do not expand the bracket. Okay, just keep it in this form for now. Combine them into single fraction, and at the same time, you can also open up the bracket. So let's say that we have, or okay, let's just do one step at a time. Divided by x minus 4 times x plus 3. Now this becomes 3x plus 9 minus 4 times x is minus 4x minus 4 times minus 4 is plus 16 over x minus 4 times x plus 3. So now this becomes 3x minus 4x, that is minus x. 9 plus 16 is 25. So you have x minus 4 upon x plus 3. So just a quick correction, what you can do is you can write in this form 25 minus x upon x minus 4 times x plus 3. So this is the simplest form in which you can give your answer. Okay. Now question number 24. Write x square minus 4x plus 7 in the form x minus a whole square plus b. So whenever the question asks you to express your quadratic expression into this form, then this is the question of completing the square. Okay, so what we do is, first of all, we take this part of the expression and we express it in this way. X minus, you take half of the coefficient of x, which will be 2, okay, whole square, and then you subtract from this from the same value, from the half of the coefficient. So the general formula goes like this: x minus b upon 2 whole square minus b upon 2 whole square. Okay, so this, where b is actually the coefficient of x, so therefore this becomes minus 2 square, and now you can bring down this plus 7. So this becomes x minus 2 whole square minus 4 plus 7. So this becomes x minus 2 whole square plus 3. Okay, so therefore your answer will be x minus 2 whole square plus 3. There's another way that you can do this. An alternative way is that you expand this bracket. Okay, so x minus a whole square basically means x minus a times x minus a plus b. So this becomes x square minus ax, then this minus a times x will be minus ax again, minus a times minus a is plus a square plus b. Okay, simplify this: x square minus 2x plus a square plus b. Now because you've expanded this, you can just compare the coefficients. The coefficient of x over here is minus 2. The coefficient, sorry, my bad. This is minus 2ax, minus 2ax. Okay. Now the coefficient over here is minus 2a, whereas the coefficient over here is minus 4. So I can say that minus 2a is equal to minus 4. Minus minus cancels out. So a is equal to 4 upon 2, which is equal to 2. So therefore, the value of a is going to be 2, same as what we got over here. Now, this a square plus b should be equal to 7. You already found a. A was 2. So 2 square is 4. 4 plus b is equal to 7. Therefore, b is equal to 7 minus 4. That gives us positive 3. And there you go with positive 3. So now you can express your answer in this form after finding the values of a and b. So that is another way that you can approach this question. Part B is write down the coordinates of the turning point of the graph of y equals x squared minus 4x plus 7. Now, once you have expressed your equation or expression in in this completed square form, then what you can do is this coordinate, sorry, this value, okay, this will be your y, the y coordinate of the turning point. Whereas this x minus 2, so this minus 2, okay, you do the opposite of minus 2, which is positive 2. Okay, and just to get the idea of why we have to do this, let's say that if I have x minus 2 equals to 0, the value of x coordinate will be x equals to 2. You have to bring it to the other side, right? The same concept goes here. So when you need to find out the x coordinate, so this minus 2 had to be shifted to the other side, so therefore you get the positive value. But just for the just to make the method short and quick, we just say that okay, you take the opposite of what's inside the bracket and write this y value as it is, but there is a logic obviously behind it. Okay, question number 25. The two shapes are mathematically similar. Okay, area of the larger shape is 36 centimeters square. Okay, this is 36 centimeters square, and the area of the smaller shape is 25 centimeters square. Okay, height of the larger shape is 9, and the height of the smaller shape is x. Okay, find the value of x. Now here this is the question that links the area with the length, right? So therefore we can use the formula a1 upon a2 equals L1 upon L2 whole square. Okay. Now we need to find x. So that means my L1 is going to be x. So this is my x, and L2 is going to be 9. So first of all, let me write this down. Now, because L1 is x, so therefore this 1 represents that I'm using this figure as 1 and I'm using this figure as 2. So the area of 1 will be 25 and the area of 2 will be 36. Now what you can do is, instead of opening up the bracket or instead of taking x square upon 9 square, we can take square root both sides. Square root of 25. Okay, now what we can do is, because both of these values are under root, we can also write this as root of 25 root of 36. Why we can do this? Because the rules of surds allow us to do this, so we can do it. Root of 25 will be 5, the root of 36 is going to be 6, so 5 upon 6 equals x upon 9. Multiply 9 to the other side, so you have 5 over 6 multiply by 9. Divide both sides, you simplify with 3, so this becomes 2, this becomes 3. So therefore your answer is 15 upon 2, which is 7.5 centimeters. You can also leave your answer in fraction. There's no problem in that. That's also fine. Okay, question number 26. F of x equals x times x plus 2 times x minus 3. On the diagram is sketched the graph of y equals to f of x for the domain that x is between minus 3 and 4. Show the values of the intersections with the axis. Okay, now if I want to find out that where does the graph cancel, or where does the graph cuts the x-axis, we know that at x-axis, at x-axis y is equal to 0. So therefore I can say that f of x is 0. So x times x plus 2 times x minus 3 equals to 0. So therefore this is just in the normal factorized form. That tells you that x is equal to 0, or x plus 2 is equal to 0. That means x is equal to minus 2. X minus 3 is equal to 0. That means x is equal to 3. So these are the points, these are the x coordinates of the x intercepts, the points where the graph is going to cut the axis. So let me mark them. So my coordinates will be 0 0 from this value, then it will be minus 2 0, and then it will be 3 0. So this is one of the points. Then minus 2 0. Okay, so this is minus 3, right? So this is minus 1 and minus 2 should be around somewhere here. Okay, and then we have 3 0. So 0 and 4 are here. So at the center, this should be 2. And then at its center over here somewhere, this should be 3. So that means my graph should start from here. And because the coefficient of x cubed, if I expand them, so x multiply by this x multiply by this x. So I'm going to get a positive coefficient for x cubed. Therefore, the shape of the graph is going to be like this because this is a cubic equation. So let me draw this. Let me draw it one more time. Okay, so and from here, something like this. Okay, so this is how your graph should look like. And it says show the values of the intersections with the x-axis. So the values of intersections will be over here. You should write the coordinates. So this is 3 0, this is 0 0, and this is minus 2 0. Okay, all right, expand and simplify. So first I'm only going to expand the first two. Okay, the next one can wait. So x times x is x squared plus 2x. Now you multiply this with the third bracket. So x squared times x, which is x cubed, minus 3x squared plus 2x times x is 2x squared, and 2x times minus 3 is minus 6x. Therefore, this becomes x cubed minus 3x squared plus 2x squared, that is minus x squared minus 6x. Okay. The next one is A is the point 1 minus 6. The tangent to the graph of y equals to f of x at A meets the y-axis at B. Okay, the tangent to the the tangent to the graph of y equals to f of x at A. Okay, where is A? It is at 1 minus 6. Okay, let's see. So 1 should be here, and minus 6, let's say that minus 6 is somewhere over here. So let's say that this is your point A. Okay, so now it says the tangent at point A. So the tangent should be, let me just mark it a little bit down, because obviously this is a sketch. Maybe let's say over here. Okay, A is somewhere upon here. Now if I draw a tangent, it should be something like this. Okay, now the tangent at A meets the y-axis at B. So it's meeting the y-axis over here, right? So this is your point B. Got it? Find the coordinates of B. Okay, because one of the things that we can see that B is at y-axis, right? At y-axis, x is equal to 0. Therefore, x coordinate of B is equal to 0. Okay, that is something that we know for sure. Okay, now what we need to find is that what will be the y coordinate at this point. Now, in order for you to find this, and also you can see that this is a 5-mark question, so definitely there are 3 to 4 steps involved here. We need to first find out what is the equation of the tangent is, because once we have the equation of tangent, we can So because we know that the equation of tangent is going to be in the form y equals mx plus c, we have already deduced the x coordinate of b. So when I'm going to plug in the value of x as 0, and I already know what y-intercept will be, okay, uh, and what will be my gradient. So then I will be able to find out the y coordinate. Because look, first you have to find the equation of tangent, and in order to find the equation of tangent, you must find what is the gradient and what is the y-intercept. Okay, so I hope that this sequence is clear. So let's come to the gradient. Now, how can I find the gradient of this tangent? Now, you know that this is a curve, okay? And what is the purpose of studying differentiation? It is what is differentiation? It is used to find the gradient function. So therefore, we have to differentiate this function. So f of x is equal to x cube minus x square minus 6x. So f dash x will be, you multiply 3 with the coefficient of x cube, which is just 1. So this becomes 3, and then you reduce 1 from the power. So this becomes 3x square minus 2 multiplies over here and subtract 1 from the power. Then there's only one, the power of x is just 1, so 1 multiplies, so that will remain 6, and then 1 reduces from here, that becomes x to the power of 0, which is uh, 1, right? So therefore this is your gradient function. Now we need to find out that what is the gradient when x is equal to 1, because the tangent has been drawn at point A. So at x is equal to 1, your gradient function or your gradient value is going to be, so this becomes 3 minus 2 minus 6. 3 minus 2 is minus 1, and minus 1 minus 6, that is minus 7. Sorry, my bad. 3 minus 2 is positive 1. So positive 1 minus 6, that is minus 5. Okay. So m is equal to minus 5. Now, how can you find the y-intercept? Okay. Now let's see. We have been given one coordinate, right? So the line passes through 1 minus 6, and we've already found the gradient. So we know that y equals to, the equation of tangent is going to be, equation of tangent is going to be in the form y equals mx plus c. So point A is 1 minus 6. That means the x coordinate, the y coordinate is minus 6, the gradient is minus 5, the x coordinate is 1, and so now you can find out the y-intercept. So minus 6 equals to minus 5 plus c. C is equal to minus 6. This minus 5 goes to the other side, becomes positive 5. So you have minus 1. Therefore, y equals minus 5x plus 1. Okay. Now comes the final part. You are supposed to find out the x coordinate of b, and the coordinates of b. You know that the x coordinate of b is equal to 0. So at x is equal to 0, y is equal to minus 5 times 0 plus 1, y is equal to 1. Therefore, coordinates of b are 0, 1. Sorry, my bad. This was a minus 1, right? So this should be minus 1, and this should be minus 1. Okay, because the equation that we found out was minus 5x minus 1, because the y-intercept was minus 1. Okay, so this is how you have to work out your questions, which are lengthy. Okay, the multi-step questions. Okay, so now these are the questions that require a lot of thinking, okay, and they require a lot of practice. But once you have done enough past papers, okay, trust me, this becomes easier. Okay, it does not remain very difficult. It becomes quite easier once you have done practice of a lot of past papers. Okay, so I think that's, yeah, that's the end of the paper. So I hope that this was a useful video and this was quite helpful for you. This should also give you an idea that how you have to approach your questions, especially in these new papers, because you're not allowed to use calculator. Okay, so make sure that you go through this video again if needed, okay, and see that how I'm approaching the question, even though I'm not using calculator, because we're not supposed to use calculator. Okay, try to simplify your equations, try to simplify the questions as much as you can, instead of multiplying the values. Okay, try to see if you can actually divide them, you can actually simplify them uh, before you expand the brackets and so on. Okay, so you can see what I'm talking about when you go through these questions. All right, so stay tuned for some more upcoming videos, and till then, take care. Assalamu alaikum.